All right, shalom everyone, and peace to those who love peace and no peace for the wicked, the Lord said. I hope my voice coming good from your side. Let me know if you have any problem. Today we are going to expose another wicked Muslim. And the funny that this Muslim is a Chinese, but he is from Malaysia. You know, we mentioned to you before how many times we spoke about how Muhammad considered the Asian people are the enemy of Allah, and they are Gog and Magog, and they are the Muslims, they are going to kill all the Asian in the judgment day. Yet those stupid Asian Muslims, they are defending Islam. Islam who teach to kill every Asian person. And Islam teach that Gog and Magog, including the Turkish, are the enemies of Allah. But yet this potato, he wanna prove Christianity to be false and Islam to be good. But how he do it? By lying. So we will play his video to show you why I believe every Muslim is a stupid. Not only he's a liar, he's a stupid. By the way, I left a comment in his channel saying to him, potato, call me if you're there. For sure he will not. I mean, do the potato dare to speak to the friar? I doubt it. So let us hear together what he will say.
That he is coming back, or you're looking at the perspective of why he is coming back. Which one do you think is more important?
Let us take his picture so we can see the video. Give me a second.
It's like a police escort me. Which perspective? Police escort me because I'm the biggest criminal, or because I am a VVIP. It's not the police escort me, but it's about why the police escort me, right? So the same thing, Jesus coming back, that is a topic, but why he is coming back is much more important. You agree with me? But why he coming back? When you look in the gospel, on the hour, many will come unto me and say, Lord, Lord, we have prophesied in thy name. We have healed, we have do miracle in your name. What did Jesus reply? Who are you? I do not know you. Go away from me. So who is the one that prophesies by using the name of Jesus? The Christians, right? So Jesus is addressing to those people who call themselves as a Christian that I do not know you. In Islam perspective is that he will break the cross and he will kill the swine and establish justice and to inform people that he is not God.
Let us make this guy shish kebab potato, and I want every Muslim to listen, or listening to this stupid idiot liar, how he screwed his God. Because if he believe in this verse of Jesus saying that, well, Jesus, he is saying simply, if you go to Matthew 7, you know, and you read, you can read any translation you want, you know, it doesn't matter really. But if you go to Matthew 7, let us put Matthew 7 in the screen. Give me a second. Then right away you will see the Muslims, in fact, they are confirming that Jesus is God. And you notice that the Muslim, they did not show us what the Christian he said, right? Usually they do that when the Christian get them busted. So they quote only, otherwise why he don't show the whole video? I mean, why it is 30 seconds? What happened what the Christian said? They are coward, they are hypocrite. And the funny is this guy, he's trying to grow a beard. I don't know if you see. I mean, the hair in the anus of an Arab guy is longer. And they are more tough. So you are a Chinese boy trying to make yourself a sheik. So you put fertilizer in your beard, and you look so funny and so dummy. But this is not our topic now. He asked very important questions. Why Jesus is coming back? He said to destroy the cross and to kill the pig. Is that Muhammad? Have you ever heard of a God? He have a plan to send his mighty prophet Jesus to kill a pig? I mean, how you stupid you Muslims are to think that God, he want to destroy the cross? Like, what is that? Is that the electric column in the front of my house? Do you see how stupid they are? And he will kill the pig. Like, tell me who your enemy, I will tell you who you are. So the enemy of Allah is a pig. What about the lizard? Oh, Allah is a lizard too. He will not kill the lizard? Isn't it the lizard who tried to burn Abraham? So if we go to Matthew, go do mut'ah, go have secret wife, go play with your penis, as Muhammad told you. You Muslims are not qualified to even speak the word Jesus. If we go here, Jesus said, you shall know them from their fruits. And this is why we know that Islam is false. Because if your prophet fruit was so evil and so filthy, he's a child molester, he's a sex offender, he is a rapist, he is a criminal, he is a thief. Even the Muslims accuse him that he stole an underwear. And by the way, until now the underwear is missing. If you have any idea, call the FBI. And your God, in order aka Muhammad, there is no God in Islam, he fabricated a verse says it's not for a prophet to steal underwears. Okay, as long you are a prophet and the one is talking is God, what about you tell us where is the underwear? Who care? Prove it. Muhammad called the prophet. Muslim, they call him prophet. Shouldn't you prophesy where is the underwear is missing, which you accused you stole it? So now the Muslims are a bunch of thieves. They attack their neighbors and now they are fighting over the theft, which the Muslim they call it the booty. What is the booty? This is theft, because those are peaceful people, never attack the Muslims. So Muhammad now he steals from the booty and underwear. And look what kind of people around him, a bunch of thieves. How in the world those people they believe he's a prophet and they accuse the prophet that he stole an underwear? And look at the false translation. It is not for any prophet to take illegally upon. Illegally? What do you mean illegally? What does that mean? Why you don't say he's a thief? It says yaghul in Arabic. Illegally? Like what the heck does that mean? So if I take your money illegally, if I go to my neighbor laundry in the backyard and he take his laundry illegally, what that make me Muslims? Thieves. So why you don't translate correctly? Because you're a potato. Every Muslim is a potato until he proved the opposite. And the second he proved the opposite, that means he's an ex-Muslim. So going back to Matthew 7. So Jesus says, from their fruit you shall know them. And the fruit of Jesus, or Jesus speaking about, is good fruit. If we go to the verses, or the verse he mentioned, this coward, not everyone says to me, God, God. So Jesus saying, many who will say to me, God, God, will go to heaven. So the stupid idiot, he just confirmed to us that Jesus is God. Because he is not saying everyone who says to me, God, God, will not go to heaven. He says, not everyone says to me, God, God, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven. But there is some they will not. Why, you stupid idiot, son of Muta? He said, why? When they said to him, when he said that, they said to him, okay, have we not prophesied in your name? And here you need to ask yourself, you idiot, if Jesus is not God, how they are prophesying in the name of Jesus? And that will take us to chapter 36 in the Quran, verse number 14. You will see that the three messengers sent by so-called Allah, in fact, they are the messengers of Jesus. And they are John and Peter and Paul. In fact, in that verse, the most mighty messenger was Paul. And we can show the reference from the stupid Abdul books, nothing from our books. Potatoes. I can show you endless reference about it. But look what happened here. Those people, they were able to accomplish miracles in the name of Jesus. Do you see with me, guys? They said, and the name, we prophesied in the name, and in the name have cast out the devils. You're a prophet. He was bewitched for a year, and Allah took him 12 months to unleash him from the knots. If you go in the Quran, it's speaking about the knots. Muslims, I will put you in the knots. I will drive you nuts. I will make you my nuts. Don't take it dirty way. I'm talking about the nut. You eat them, huh? Look at this. This is your stupid prophet. He believed that somebody, he can make a knot for him. Therefore, he is under the control of the knot. So look at the difference. Those who you call them the Christians, but for sure we will show that this is not what it says. They are doing miracles in the name of Jesus and casting out demons. We don't believe in magic. Whoever believes in magic is an idiot. Like when the stories speak about Moses, the Egyptian, they saw that his magic overcome their magic, which means the miracle of God. They could not understand how he can do it. They thought it's a trick, but we know that this was not a trick. So the stupid Muhammad believed in magic, and he believed that somebody made a 12 knot for him, and took Allah 12 months to open those knots. 1 month for every knot. I mean, look how slow your God. If I give a turtle the mission to take 12 knots, we'll do it faster. 12 months to open 12 knots. And then your prophet, he start imagining things never happen. If we go in the hadith, you will find this. Guys, invite your friends. And if you are from Malaysia or Pakistan or Indonesia, share the link. Let us get, or Chinese. You're a prophet. Even the fake Christian who do the miracle in the name of Jesus can do more than his God to him. The prophet, this is Sahih al-Bukhari. Assalamu alaikum Bukhari, how are you doing? Excuse me, I am from Bukhara. I don't speak Arabic, but I'm going to quote for you the hadith. What the heck? The guy is from Bukhara. He's not an Arab, and he memorized all the hadith of Muhammad. Who can do that? And he never wrote a book. And then they called the book Al-Bukhari. But the guy never wrote a book. There's no book, it's called Al-Bukhari. Oh no, this is the book written by the student of the student of the student of the cousin of the cousin of the uncle of the auntie of Al-Bukhari. Ah, okay. I got it. So once upon the time, the prophet of Abdul, he was bewitched. Do you know what it means to be bewitched? That is so sad. And this is the prophet of Allah. Amazing. How that can happen? Who did that to Muhammad? We should find him now. Commercial break. If you are a Muslim and you are bewitched, you need Jesus. As you see, your prophet himself is a scumbag. He could not even help himself. Neither his God was able to do anything to him. End of commercial break, which was for free because it's coming from Jesus. When the prophet was bewitched, what happened? He imagined things happening, but in fact they never ever happened. He became illusionate, delusionate. Welcome to Joe Biden world. I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message. Take a beer. You stupid idiot. You go to the Bible and you quote for us that people who made miracles in the name of Jesus, they are casting out demon. Yet you're a prophet, demon is jumping in the top of his head, in fact in his head. The guy cannot even recognize what is right, what's wrong, what is true, what is false. The prophet, he imagined himself like what? Like what? Had sex. Even that was fiction. Shall I show you? Aisha, she said, the prophet, he imagined himself effing his wives, but in fact he never did so. So what Muhammad was doing? Oh, he was in the city chasing dreams. Yeah, Muhammad, get them. Yeah, the woman is there. Yeah, chase them, chase them. Don't stop, don't stop. Don't touch yourself, Muhammad. It's not real sex. This is just imagination, illusion. Keep going, keep going. May Allah bless you, brother. You are bewitched now. Unbelievable. So good to be true. You must be a true prophet of Allah. What the heck of this? The prophet, he imagined himself effing his wives, but in fact he did not do so. All right. You Muslims don't believe me. I know. I mean, a Christian prince, whatever he said, the Muslim will say to him, he's a liar. Even if I say Muhammad is a good guy, they will say he's a liar. This is what happened once. I went to a chat room. I took the microphone. The Muslims say, hey, Christian prince, come here, let us expose you. I said, okay, they want to expose me. So I took the microphone and I said, do you know, guys, that Muhammad was a wonderful man? Everyone in the chat was saying, liar, liar. I said, he was not a child molester. Liar, liar. He is not even a thief. Liar, liar. The admin, he noticed, they are so slow, man, so slow. After I did all this drama and the Muslim calling me liar, the admin of the chat room, he blocked all the room from text. He took the microphone from me and he said, you stupid people. He got us busted even our chat room. He said to you, Muhammad, Prophet Muhammad is a good man. You say to him, liar. He say he is, they're not listening. They are donkeys. They knew that this Christian prince, whatever he say, we have to say liar. They have to say liar. It doesn't matter what you say. You are a Christian prince. Liar. What a bunch of potatoes. So let me show you, your prophet, even when he if his wives, was ifing the goat. It is not his wife. I mean, I don't know. You can say the wall if you want, or the disposal machine. Your prophet, obviously, he put a thing in any hole, in the wall. This is your prophet, and this is Aisha speaking. Don't tell me Aisha is a liar. Hey, Aisha, you working for a Christian prince? Seriously? Since when? Okay, I will keep that secret. Aisha, she said, the magic worked on the prophet. And he began to fancy. He began to what? Fancy. That's a fancy word. Does this word have to do anything to do with the Francisco? Huh? The prophet, he began to fancy. Hey, Muhammad, what's your name? I'm Joe Biden. Muhammad, what's wrong with you? What Joe Biden? I'm Joe Biden's husband. Like, hey, Muhammad, come on. No, you are not. You are Qatham. Mudammam. This is your real name. Okay. Yeah. But who I am? You know? In fact, this is what he said to Khadija when he came from the cave. He said, who am I? Where I am? So look what Aisha, she said. So he was doing a thing which in actually not doing it. One day he invoked Allah for a long time. Please Allah, please, for the sake of Christian Prince, for the sake of his shin, please, please do something. My penis is not working. My wife is not having sex. My goat is complaining. She's bleeding. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know. And then, it says here that the Prophet, let me see if this is the hadith speaking about him having sex with his wife. No, not this one. Hold on. No, this is not the one I want. Hold on. Let us see. Where is the hadith about then doing sex? Boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom. Because I don't like to say something without proofs. Let us see. All right. Here we go. Yeah, this is the hadith we want. Your prophet, even his penis is coming from different galaxies, is under the control of shaitan. Read with me, Abdul. This is al-Bukhari. No, it's da'if. Al-Bukhari is da'if. This is al-Bukhari, you eat it. Da'if. But what? Tingling. Read with me. The magic work on the messenger of Allah. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allah pray on him and salute him. Salute Muhammad. I am Sergeant Allah. How you doing, sir? Okay. Allah, where is my tea? Don't say that in the Philippines. Where is my tea? So that is used to think that he had sexual relationship with his wives. What sexual relationship? The hadith says that. He says he did not if his wife. He think he ifed his wives. What this? They're trying to decorate it. Sexual relationship. Since when Muhammad have sexual relationship? He never did. This is why he could not have kids. I know. They will say, he have kids, but they die. Did Allah punish him? Isn't you Muslims? When this guy, David Wood, his son died, you said that Allah punished him? Huh? Allah punished Muhammad and cut his penis, and now he's imagining sex, but it's not true, and his kids being killed by Allah. Isn't it everything happened by the will of Allah? What a potato God. Why is killing the kids of Muhammad one by one? But this is not our topic. So he imagined, he used the, look guys, it's not once, it's not twice. He used, hey Muslims, your prophet has been used, by the way. Yeah, because this is what it means. He been used by shaitan. So shaitan he used to use Muhammad many times and make him think that he have a sexual relationship with his wife, while actually he had not. Muhammad, he go in town, he tell them, guys, yesterday, I did all my wives in 20 minutes. Muhammad, all of them 20 minutes? To be honest with you, it was 16 minutes. Come on, Muhammad, 16 minutes? You know what? It is not even 1 minute, because I am from the rabbit family. And it turned to be that Muhammad never touched them. Never. What he was doing when he imagined himself having intercourse. I wish there is a camera at that time, like camera in the room of Muhammad. I want to see what he was doing. He was ifing who? By the way, this is not in the dream. This is not a dream. They are not talking about a person who is sleeping, dreaming. They are talking about Muhammad in the daytime. Is a delusional. He do not know what is happening, what is not. So how we can take what Muhammad say about Jesus seriously? If this guy proven to be bewitched, which means controlled by shaitan, as your Quran says. Going back to this guy Abdul video. Listen carefully what he said again, so we can laugh together.
Coming back is much more important. You agree with me? But why he coming back? When you look in the gospel, on the hour, many will come unto me and say, Lord, Lord, we have prophesied in thy name. We have healed, we have do miracle in your name. What did Jesus reply? Who are you? I do not know you. Go away from me. So who is the one?
Why you don't tell them why he said that to them, you coward? Why you see? We do not know what the Christian said to him, and I think the Christian he answered very good answer. This is why the guy did not show the rest of the video. Otherwise, this is not listed as a short video. It's a normal video size. So why you don't put the whole video? Let us see what the Christian said. If we go to the Bible, and I will show the Muslims why we laugh at every single Muslim, and why Christian friends call you a bunch of thieves and fornicators. Because fornication have many ways. You fornicate with your penis or with your mouth, your lips, your tongue is the same. All liars are fornicators. And now you are fornicating about God. So look what happened. When they say, we did miracles in your name, that prove that by the name of Jesus, even those who they are not truly accepted by Jesus, they can do miracle in his name, which means by the name of Jesus, by the power of Jesus, the miracle is accomplished, not because they are false. That is a confirmation of the power of Jesus, not their power. In their name, we prophesy in their name, and your prophecy come true. In their name. In the name of who? The name of Jesus. But why Jesus says to them, depart away from me, I don't know you. You coward, you do not read. Because those people, they are not working for the glory of God. They are working for their own iniquity. So doing miracles in the name of Jesus, or screaming, shouting in the name of Jesus, doesn't make you a Christian. Muhammad did that. Muhammad, he said, Jesus said, a prophet after me, his name is Ahmed, is coming. Jesus will say to him, depart away from me, you shaitan, you devil, you son of Muta. You're the one who nobody knows your father, but I know. You are working for your iniquity. You even change your name, calling yourself the praised one. In fact, you are nothing but an antichrist. You destroy churches, you call it Christians, and you burned my books. And then, if we read carefully, you know what? When a Muslim, he read a verse in the Bible, do even he knew how to read? Do those satanic people knows how to read? I doubt it. This is why he said, when the rain descend and the flood come and the wind blow and the beat upon that house and it fail, what he's talking about? Talking about those who build their house over the rock, not over the sand. So those people who they claim to be Christians, doing miracles in the name of Jesus, they aren't Christians. How we know they aren't Christians? They are the same as Muslims. How we know that? What we go to verse number 6? Oh, sorry, Matthew chapter 6. If we go to Matthew chapter 6, you will see right away that Jesus is speaking about the Muslims and the Jews, who they are the same as alike. Hypocrite, false, and liars like Muhammad. Muhammad, he told the Muslim to shout Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, so everybody will know that they are coming to pray. Muslims, they pray in the corners of the streets. In fact, a Muslim, he act like a goat. He put his rag in the top of the taxi and he pray in the top of the taxi in the heart of New York, so everybody will see him from far distance, because they are goats. Don't sound a trumpet before thee, as the hypocrite do in the synagogues. By the way, in case you do not know, the word Jami' is coming from synagogue. Muhammad was trying to copy the Jews. Even the word Jami' is a synagogue in Arabic. And in the street that may have a glory of men, verily I say to you, they have their own reward. So those people, they were doing miracle in the name of Jesus, and Jesus said to them, depart away from me. They were hypocrite like Muhammad. The difference is Muhammad have 0 miracles, except he is imagining himself having sex with his wives, but it was not the wife. But until now we do not know who. Maybe the goat. If you give charity, don't let anyone know. This is teaching of Jesus. Keep your charity in secret. Why? Because the Father in heaven, he sees you. He sees all your secrets. Don't be like the hypocrite who prays standing in the synagogue and in the corner of the street, that they may be seen by men. Muslims, this is all of you Muslims, depart away from me, satanic people, followers of the devil Muhammad. Verily I say unto you, they have their reward. What is their reward? People see them and praise them for being a good person. Muhammad, he prayed in the corner of the street. The most well-known things about Muhammad, he prayed in the corner of the street and he pissed in the corner of the street. He grabbed his penis in the street in front of women and children. I can show you reference. Challenge me. So when Jesus speak about those, says to them, depart away from me, he is talking about false teachers, false prophets. False teachers, false prophet, false believers, exactly like Muhammad. In Christianity, you cannot bribe God and you cannot play God. In Islam, all of Islam is about a bribe and lying. If you give Muhammad a charity, they call it charity. Why Muhammad need charity? Oh, you have 13 wives and his penis is not working. You need to see doctors, and he was bewitched. So he needed charity. The Messiah taught us to be aware of false prophet, and there is many of them. If we go to the Bible, we will read together what Jesus says in Matthew. In the same chapter, this guy what he was reading for us from. Do Muslims have any dignity? I challenge you to prove it. So if we go here, we will see right away Jesus saying, be aware of false prophet, which come to you in the clothes of a sheep clothing, but in fact they are wolves. What those people do, the one Jesus says to them, depart away from me, obviously they are false prophet, not false Christians. They are totally false people. Because you cannot be a false Christian. Either a Christian or you're not. So those people, they prophesy in the name of God. They say, Lord, Lord, we prophesy in your name. Depart away from me. Why? Because you are a false prophet in a clothes of a sheep. And the most important for us here, that this potato, when he confirmed this verse, he just said, Jesus claimed clearly that he is God. He did not say, if you say to me you are God, I will not know you, I will depart away from me. No. He says, many will say, not everyone will say. Not everyone will say. Many they will say. In which day? In the day of judgment. Why they will say that to Jesus? Because Jesus is the judge in the judgment day. In fact, your stupid prophet himself confirmed that. Muhammad in the hadith, he says that the Messiah will come in the day of judgment as hakaman muqsitan. When you mention that he will kill the pig, which means he will kill Muhammad, I agree. Why you do not mention that Jesus is going to be the judge in the day of judgment? Huh? Who is the one who will come in the day of judgment, and he will be a just judge between mankind? Let us see the hadith. Give me a second. And by the way, that statement of Muhammad is additional proof that he is a fraud. Why? Because he said liyushikna, which means almost. False prophecy. He prophesied that Jesus is coming very soon. Read it. So this coward, when he quoted this in the video, he quoted that Jesus will come and he will destroy the cross. Well, who cares about the cross? Destroy the cross. Jesus already destroyed the cross. He overcome death by death. The cross is symbolic for the death. You Muslims are stupid. Obviously, your prophet saying that Jesus will prove his resurrection and will kill all the pigs, including Muhammad. But look what it says here. Muhammad said, by him is in whose hand my soul, which means swearing by Allah, is the son of Mary, Jesus, will shortly descend. God, do you see it? Even the stupid translation got Muhammad busted. Shortly. In fact, shortly is not enough, because in Arabic it says liyushikna. Liyushikna is not shortly only, it's like here, he's here. Every Muslim is a potato. Liyushikna is not only soon, he is here. Muhammad is a fraud. He prophesied in the same statement this potato he said in his video. He proved to us that Muhammad is a fraud. By the way, if you think he did not say that, watch the video. He mentioned this hadith specifically.
Miracle in your name. What did Jesus reply? Who are you? I do not know you. Go away from me. So who is the one that prophesies by using the name of Jesus? The Christians, right?
No, the false prophet, potato. Those are false prophet. Like Muhammad. Because Muhammad, he used the name of Jesus, claiming to be a prophet too. I can show you from the Quran in 2 seconds. This is the yellow pages of Muhammad, the rotten sardine. Muhammad used the name of Jesus, prophesying in the name of Jesus. Chapter 61, verse number 6. And remember when Isa, supposedly Jesus, son of Mary, said, O children of Israel, I am a messenger from Allah into you confirming the Torah. Here it says, which is came before it. That's false. In Arabic it says, مُصَدِّقًا لِمَا بَيْنَ يَدَيْ, what is between my hands. Again they lie in the translation. And giving you glad tidings of a messenger comes after me, whose name shall be Ahmed. Who is the one who said this statement? Muhammad. Jesus nowhere in the Bible says that. In fact, Jesus says, many false prophets will come after me. And how we know them? Whoever deny the Son and the Father, he's an Antichrist. And Muhammad denied the Father. All the Bible, every word Jesus speaks, he says, my Father, my Father. Did Muhammad accept what Jesus says about the word Father? Absolutely not. Let us hear him quoting the same hadith we are showing you on the screen.
So Jesus is addressing to those people who call themselves as a Christian that I do not know you. In Islam perspective is that he will break the cross and he will kill the swine and establish.
He will kill the swine, Muhammad. Read the hadith. This is exactly the hadith I'm showing you on the screen. This is exactly the hadith I'm showing you in the screen. Jesus will destroy the cross and will kill the pig Muhammad. So Muhammad made a clear false prophecies. He prophesies in the name of Jesus, using the name of Jesus for his own like glory, to get money and sex, like many false priests exist in the world today and before, claiming that Jesus confirmed him, which means Jesus is the authority of Muhammad being a prophet. Otherwise, why Muhammad mentioning Jesus says that about me? And where he mentioned it? Why Muhammad didn't say open chapter, etc., verse, etc., where it says that? In fact, even the name is wrong. And the most important, it says here, he will descend among you, Muslims, as just ruler. Hold on. How Jesus can be just ruler? Only God is just. In fact, in Arabic, it doesn't say just ruler. It says hakaman muqsitan. He is a judge, not a ruler. But this judge is just. Read carefully. Hakaman is not a ruler. He is a judge. Do you see it? And his judge will be with authority, which means he will rule, but not a ruler, not a governor. All right? So he will be the judge for the whole world. Remember, this is supposedly the day of judgment, which Muhammad, he prophesied, is going to happen after 5 minutes. Speaking to Muslims, saying, very, very, very soon. Liyushikna. So Muhammad here in this hadith confirmed many important things about Jesus. That Muhammad is a pig, and Jesus is just. And who is just beside God? No one. No human being can be just. In fact, Muhammad, he confirmed that he never was just. Muhammad even used to beat Muslims unjustly. Imagine beating them, whipping their back. Let us see the hadith. This website is horrible. You can't find something right away in it. Here we go. Look what Muhammad's saying. Oh Allah. Muhammad is talking. He is saying, I am just a pig. When I see people around me, I beat them, I whip their back unjustly. Read it. I am a human being, and for any person amongst the Muslims whom I hurl medication or invoke curse or giving him whipping, make it source for his purity. But why? What he's talking about? Is that about because he did it justly? No. Muhammad's saying it clearly. He don't deserve it. Read it carefully. Prayed against by the Prophet, whom he does not deserve that. So while Jesus is supposedly coming so soon, after 5 minutes, according to Muhammad, he will be just judge for the whole world. And this is confirmed in the Bible, by the way. For Jesus said it clearly, I will have the authority over all men. Over all men, mankind. When we say mankind, we mean everybody, women, no exception. So while Jesus is being the absolute judge, Muhammad is beating Muslims, torturing them, cursing them, harming them. And now he claims that anyone he beat the hell of him, asking Allah to make it mercy. How that work? Where was the mercy of Allah upon you when you did those things, and why Allah did not rebuke you? Huh? Why Allah did not say to Muhammad, what's wrong with you, Muhammad? Why you are beating those Muslims unjustly? But because Jesus is divine and he is the Son of God, he is able to do what human being cannot do. What the excuse of Muhammad not being good? He's a human. In other words, he's a piece of shit. Because so what if I am a human? I am a human too. I don't beat people. I don't. Is that an excuse that you are a human? You can go and fart everywhere and slander and call people names and beat them and wipe them and rape their wives? The hadith says if the Prophet eyes fall into a woman, her husband must divorce her so the Prophet can F her. This is not an act of a human, this is an act of a beast. And now Muhammad trying to justify what his filth is doing. His smell is all over the place, being unjust, beating people, being not fair. So now he want to fix it. He said, okay, Allah, make it mercy for them. How that work? What do you mean mercy for them? What about you? Shouldn't Allah judge you for being unfair and beating people? If Allah is a true God? So you beat people, Allah, He make it mercy for them, and you go to heaven and you are the best of mankind. You whip their back. Do you know how it hurt? To whip somebody with his naked skin, with leather belt, 100, 200 times, you might die. You might have disability forever. It might destroy your spine. will leave marks in your skin for years and years to come. So while Jesus is an absolute judge, who judge over mankind justly, Muhammad was not judge and was not justly. And if we go in the Quran, this is the word muqsit. Muqsit, 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 muqsit. Okay. One of the names of Allah, Al-Adil. What does that mean? It's not exist in the Quran. It should be. The Muslim, they say this is one of the names of Allah. This is the word adl, which means just. 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 Is Allah a person of just? No. How we know? The Muslims. Muhammad told us. In the day of judgment, how many times you heard the Muslims saying, why Jesus will pay for your sin? This is not fair. Who said this is fair? And that is not Jesus paying for my sin because I force him. That is the love of God. He voluntarily, he says, I lay down myself. For God loved the world. He sent his only begotten son. This is not about being fair. If it's about fair, none of us will go to heaven. This is what fair is about. Except the children, maybe, because they don't ever commit sin. Muhammad, he confirmed that the Muslims in the day of judgment, they will come to Allah. And they will say to him, or he will say to them, don't worry, I will take your sin and put it on the Christians and the Jews. How in the world that is justice? Allah will say to the Muslims, this is your ransom from hellfire. So who is the one who deserves to go to hellfire? The Muslim. Who will go to hellfire? The Christian. Why? Because simply is a Christian. Because Muhammad is a scumbag. As you see. When will be the day of resurrection, Allah would deliver to every Muslim a Jew or a Christian and say, that is your rescue from hellfire. Did Jesus says that in the day of judgment, you Christians, I will put Muslims instead of you in hell? So go and commit sin? What Muhammad saying here, that be filthy, be scumbag, do sin as much as you want. In fact, other hadith says they will commit sin like mountains. They will do what? Sin like mountains. And then Allah, instead of punishing those who did sin like mountains, he will punish the Christians who did not commit that sin. Let me show you other hadith. Look at this. Look at the scam of Muhammad. He is encouraging Muslims to commit sin. There would come people among the Muslims on the day of resurrection, which is with as heavy sin as a mountain, and Allah would forgive them, and He would place there in their stead the Jews and the Christians. So what we accomplish in this video, that Firdaus, this is his name, the Chinese boy who's trying to grow a beard but it's not working. By the way, if you want, I have manure. I mean, you and Zakir Naik. Zakir Naik, he spent his life, he never cut his beard to have little beard in his neck. I can help you. Manure is the best. Let me do this recipe. I use it for my plants. Cow manure with pig's manure. Put them together, will make them halal manure. And then hit yourself with the manure, because this is how Allah resurrects people from death, according to the chapter of Al-Baqarah. So if Allah, He can resurrect people by beef, can't He resurrect your beard and make it look like a shake? So you potato, you quote for us verses proving that Jesus is God, where Jesus saying, not everyone says to me, God, God, which mean many of those who says to me, God, God, will go to heaven. So Jesus confirmed that He is God, and many of those who say to Him, God, they will go to heaven. But not everybody, because there's people, they are not true believers. And you Muslims will be the first to go to hell. And don't forget to log on in TikTok there, because you will spend your day doing TikTok. Let Muhammad save your ass. He will be before you there. Guys, I have people waiting for me outside to go to church. I cannot stay longer. I see them from outside. So I want to say, I wish I can stay longer. All right. Hold on. Let me talk to them. All right. They said I can, they can wait. They are actually they are listening to me outside. Anyway, so for the Muslims who they are watching this video, wherever you are, check everything we say to you and check if it's true or not. And if you like to join us, you can always scan this code you see in the screen, and you can log in Patreon. It's for free. You do not need to donate. You can make an account. It's the same as Facebook. I use it. And you can join us in every live. And if there is a sheikh, he dare to debate me. If there is a sheikh ever, he dare to debate me, which I doubt that sheikh is ever exist or will be exist one day. They will never dare, because they knew that they will lose their career. So if you know ever a sheikh, he dare for a, I mean, I will call him. You see, I'm a very humble person. I will go and call him. If you think he is a big guy, well, I am down to the ground. Jesus commanded me to be the servant and wash the feet of everybody. And my Lord told me, you cannot be a master unless you are a servant. That is my Lord. While your Lord told you to be pervert. The master Muhammad, your master, he enslaved you. If his eyes fall into a woman, her husband must divorce her, so the prophet can F her. What a filthy satanic man. This is not an act of God, man. This is an act of the devil, man. There's a devil inside Muhammad. It's not enough all the women he have in his bed, but yet he want to have more and more and more. You know why? Because he's Satan, the son of Satan, and from their fruits you shall know them. And always remember that God is good, so is Jesus, and we are the crusade. See you later.